Yo, this is Zayn. We're on Radio 1. I'm going to be picking some music for the next 2 hours. To kick that off, here's my first single, Pillowtalk. I remember hearing that song in the studio for the first time. I remember thinking that's definitely a song I would like to cut. I didn't write that song. It was just a banger that was already written there, and I got a chance to work with two really talented producers on that song, Mike and Ananitas. And yeah, we did the song, we cut it, and it matched my voice perfectly. So I was just like, yeah, this is kind of like the starting point of where I want to take my solo career from. Yeah, so that's kind of how it came about. Probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. So coming up next is Umbrella by Rihanna. I think I first heard this song when I was in high school, and it was kind of popping off. It was a massive pop song. Obviously, anything Rihanna touches is amazing, and for that reason, I think it's a bit of a classic. You're listening to BBC Radio 1 with me, Zayn. So coming up next is one of my favourite songs of all time, Mario, Let Me Love You. I was listening to this song a lot around the time when I was first starting to sing. So probably around 15, 16, I started taking singing a bit more seriously, and used to listen to a lot of R&B music, obviously, in general, and I think that was definitely influenced by Bradford, you know, like a lot of people that I went to school with and people I was hanging around were listening to that kind of music too. So I practiced that song for about a year before I went on X Factor and sang that as my first audition song. So it has a very near and dear place in my heart. It's literally the song that changed my life. So here it is, Mario, Let Me Love You. You're with Zayn on Radio 1. The next song coming up is Dusk Till Dawn by myself and Sia. I wrote that song in my kitchen in London, and I had the majority of the song kind of like shelled out and finished. The only thing that wasn't there was like the epic like hook moment, you know, like where it goes into the chorus, but the majority of the rest of the song was there. So I kept hearing Sia's voice on it, like even in the verses and the pre's and stuff that I'd written. So I just thought it'd be a really good idea to like ask her if she was interested, and to my surprise she got back real quick. She loved the song. She really appreciated the writing. So it was a song that I was very proud of, because it's Sia, you know, somebody who I rate like massively as a vocalist, and she took that song to a different level, and it's definitely one of the songs I'm the most proud of so far in my career, for sure. Usher, Burn on Radio 1. And I think the first time I heard that song, I was quite young, like 15, 16, when I was listening to a lot of R&B music quite heavily. Obviously, Usher's one of the best R&B vocalists to ever exist, so I definitely took a leaf out of his book, let's say, and definitely tried to practice a lot of songs that he was singing when I was younger. He's an amazing artist. I never actually got a chance to go see him live. Here's a fun fact: I'd never seen any live music before I was in the band. So that time it would have been amazing to go see him. Unfortunately, I didn't get to ever see him perform live. You're on Radio 1 with Zayn, and the next song is Alienated by myself. I was Alienated. I wrote that song for my last record, Room Under the Stairs, maybe 4 years before the record was released. So that was kind of like the starting point of the entire vibe of that record. I wanted to do something that was more raw and personal, and kind of like a personal memento to myself. So that was the inspiration for that song. It turned out really well. I really felt like my voice felt good in that space and in that genre of music. So I enjoyed writing that song. You're listening to Radio 1 with Zayn, and the next song that we're going to play is Escapism by Raye. I actually got the pleasure of seeing Raye perform live in London the last time I was there, where she had like a bit of an orchestra with her on stage. She's an amazing vocalist, somebody who I feel is really like holding the torch for like modern day R&B music in this era, and I'm always inspired when I hear her lyrics and her music. I feel like she's an amazing artist. That was Escapism by Raye. You're listening to Radio 1 with Zayn, and the next song we're going to be playing on Radio 1 is Big Papa by Biggie. And yeah, like obviously growing up in Bradford, Biggie and Tupac were very prominent figures, and basically the music that most people were listening to was rap music. I actually heard that song the first time in my house because my dad was a massive Biggie fan, and he used to play Biggie like on the speakers real loud, like for the whole street to hear. And my dad made sure that the whole street could hear Biggie whenever we were playing Biggie or Tupac. So rap music was a big influence in my younger years, and that was definitely made more prominent by the fact that I was living in Bradford, for sure. That was D'Angelo with Brown Sugar. You're on Radio 1 with Zayn. That song is a staple R&B piece of music, you know? Like if you're gonna put the top 5 R&B songs in a list, I think it's up there, you know? It's like second or third. So yeah, it's just a staple R&B song. Obviously D'Angelo, again, amazing vocalist, amazing artist, really interesting story, interesting dude. I listened to a lot of his music when I was growing up in Bradford, and was inspired by, you know, the vocal runs and ad-libs and just that little bit of like extra sexy swagger that D'Angelo used to bring to his music. So M.I.A. obviously is a very influential Asian figure, you know. I wanted to do something with her the minute I heard some of her early music and seen some of her music videos. I was like, this girl's got swagger, she knows who she is. And I think she actually reached out to me with that song and asked if I was interested, and obviously I agreed to it straight away. I really liked the vibe of the song, Freedom, and I felt like I could do something in like a South Asian kind of pocket and give some element that might elevate it in some way. So that's why I wanted to do it, because the thing is with me, I don't really like to do features unless I feel like it's elevating the song. I don't just want to do a feature just for the sake of it, like just to push a song. I feel like it really needs to make sense creatively, and that one definitely did. So for that reason, here it is, Freedom by M.I.A. and myself. Bass. Yourself by Eminem. I remember watching 8 Mile for the first time growing up in Bradford, and that movie inspired me to the nth degree. It felt like he was growing up in kind of a similar environment to me, you know, in his life, and the things that he overcame and the things that he did were incredibly inspiring. So Eminem always will be one of the top rappers. I just rate that guy so highly. He's a genius. You're on Radio 1 with Zayn, and the next song is Kehlani, Folded. It's so silly of me. That was Kehlani, Folded. I think maybe on around Mind of Mine time, Icarus Falls time, I'd heard a lot of like Kehlani's music, and really liked her voice. So I asked her if she wanted to be on a song with me that I'd written that was kind of leaning more into her kind of space, like pop R&B. We played the song, she was dead interested, she came to the studio, we hung out a bit, we got on, so we actually filmed a music video that never came out, and we never put it out. I repurposed that video. Fun fact, it became the video for Satisfaction. So she's an amazing artist, and anything that she touches, she always seems to kill. She's got a crazy good voice. So Nobody's Listening was, I think, my most R&B record that I did, and there was a lot of like cool like alternative R&B pop songs on there that turned out really well. Obviously that's my opinion, but I liked the album a lot, and there's some questionable titles in there that maybe we're not allowed to say on the radio. So for that reason, here it is, my song on Witherable. Listening to BBC Radio 1 with Zayn. I'm here doing a takeover, and I hope you guys are enjoying this music as much as I am. These songs are moments in my life and, you know, pinnacle memories associated with these songs. So I hope you guys are enjoying listening to them as much as I am. Up next is Amy Winehouse with Rehab. Amy Winehouse, where do I start? Amy Winehouse was a genius artist, performer, vocalist, lyricist. so many things she did tick the boxes for me. She was just a person that wasn't afraid to be herself. I loved the way she approached every song she ever did. She was way more of a jazz singer than she was a pop singer, and I've just always rated this woman. So for that reason, I had to put one of her songs on this list, because you can't have a top 20 list without an Amy Winehouse song on there, in my opinion. It was What I Am off my album Room Under the Stairs. It was one of the singles on that record. And again, whenever I talk about Room Under the Stairs, it's always a good conversation that I can have, because I feel like I was the most involved with that record in terms of what I was trying to say, what my point was, and even just putting, you know, actual life experience into the lyricism rather than it just sounding cool. So What I Am is pretty self-explanatory, you know. I'm not always great, I'm not a finished article, I'm not always perfect, but I try and I have intent in the right place, and I feel like I love, and if you can accept that, then this is what I am, you know. So yeah, I always loved that song after it'd been written, and it was always like in my mind for, you know, contention for being a single. Up next, obviously, this woman needs no introduction. Here it is, Lauryn Hill, X Factor. Was Lauryn Hill, X Factor. I've always found it quite ironic after I was on X Factor that song's called X Factor. But aside from that, obviously, anything that woman's ever done has been amazing. She's just a feat of vocal ability, so much emotion and passion in her delivery when she sings. You really believe everything that she's saying. So yeah, Lauryn Hill, like I said, she don't need an introduction, right? So the next song is Mac Miller. The thing is with Mac Miller, I feel like he had such an interesting approach to music in every sense. Like, he wasn't the best vocalist, but he was an incredible artist, and he knew how to make insane music with the ability that he had. I've always respected his lyricism and his ability again to like convey depth in real life experiences and, you know, things that he's been through. So for that reason, I picked a Mac Miller song, because I feel like if you've not heard him, you should listen to his music, because it's great. So that's why I'm going to play Mac Miller, Cable Box. You're listening to Radio 1 with Zayn. Coming up next is Keep Your Head Up by Tupac, one of the greatest rappers to ever exist. And again, you know, growing up in Bradford, he was a very poignant figure. There's definitely a lot of people that looked up to him. I was one of them people. And for that reason, can't have a Zayn Malik playlist without having Tupac on there. Something for my God, Head Up by Tupac. You're listening to Radio 1 with Zayn, and this next track is from my debut album, Mind of Mine. It's called Befour. Wrote that song with Malejo, who at the time had done a lot of different things with a lot of artists that I look up to. He worked with Frank Ocean and, you know, some other people. So I was super excited to work with him. I think we actually recorded and cut that song in Vegas in the studio, and it was an interesting night. Definitely inspired by the lights and the hustle and bustle of Vegas when I wrote that song. And yeah, for that reason, it's on this playlist. That was Lil Wayne, Mrs. Officer. I actually remember when that song came out when I was in high school, because I think I was going on like a school trip. I think we went to Flamingo Land, and I had these ridiculous speakers with me that took like 75 batteries. So I had like a whole bag of batteries just to power these speakers on the bus. And I remember playing that song, and yeah, I loved that kind of music. So that was, you know, they were like my cool days, I would say, when I was bumping my speakers on the bus. So this song definitely reminds me of that era and time period in my life for sure. So up next, we've got another little throwback song for you. It is Jazmine Sullivan, Bust Your Windows. I bust the windows out your car. That was Jazmine Sullivan, Bust Your Windows. Where do I start with Jazmine? Jazmine's an incredible vocalist, artist. Again, whenever I listen to her music, I'm reminded of a certain time in my life. And I think of things fondly when I hear her music. So thank you, Jazmine. It's Zayn Malik on BBC Radio 1. Thank you so much for tuning in today and listening to this music with me. It's been a pleasure to play all of these songs for you. Coming up next, as a compulsory name on this list, is Bob Marley with Redemption Song. All pirates, yes. You're listening to Radio 1 with Zayn. So this next song is off of my record, Icarus Falls. That was a really interesting album to record for the simple reason that I was just really still trying to figure out like where I wanted to take my music and what kind of genre I wanted to fit into. And I ended up doing like, I think it was about 80 something songs for that record, like all in all. And then it was really hard to like cut them down into like, you know, I want an 11 track playlist, or I want 15 track playlist. So we ended up with like 40 songs. So the album was a 2-part album pretty much, and one of the songs on there was called You Wish You Knew. It was a bit different for me, but more like a rappy kind of sounding song, I guess, where I'm not really singing too much, but it just had a cool vibe. And for that reason, I wanted to put this on there because it was a bit of a different song, and I liked that song. Girl, I got a problem. Listening to Radio 1 with Zayn. It is very interesting to me to be playing this on Radio 1. You know, not many Bollywood songs get to play on here, so when I got asked, you know, for a Bollywood song that reminds me of childhood, the only song that comes to mind is Kuch Hota. Obviously, there's other songs too, but that's like the classic staple song, and I felt like everybody that, you know, is in Bradford, is a similar age to me, will know that song. So that was the reason I picked this song. So it's almost time for me to say bye, unfortunately, if you're not sick of my voice yet. But before I leave, I have to play something by the Gorillaz because they're one of my favourite bands of all time. So the next song is going to be Feel Good. Gorillaz, amazing band. Obviously, I'm a massive fan of anime and cartoons, and I feel like they were one of the first bands that really, you know, played about with that conceptually, in terms of there wasn't going to be an artist representing this, it wasn't going to be a person, it was going to be an idea, and them characters can live forever, you know, like 100 years from now, Gorillaz can still exist and still be as relevant as they were when they first came out. So I loved that idea, that concept. It's good music, man, and yeah, for that reason I put them on the playlist. You're listening to Radio 1 with Zayn. So, being a British person, I definitely listened to a lot of, you know, grime music when it was up and coming at the time, even though I was up north and it was way more of a, like a down south thing. We still heard it, you know, it made its way through the grapevine, and one of the people that stood out to me in that era and time was Devlin. Lyricism was on point. I always really liked his tone, clarity, and like his phonetic, like, approach to things is insane. So when I was doing a song that kind of like fit in that pocket a little bit, I was feeling like the first person I thought of was him, and I was like, do you think he'd be interested? And he was really cool. He got back straight away. Probably one of the most professional people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. He got his work done in, I think, like 24 hours, wrote his verse, recorded it, sent it back to me, and I loved it. It was a definite street cred moment for me amongst some of my friends. They were like, yo, you did a song with Devlin, yeah, you move like that. I was like, yeah, man. So yeah, it was a cool moment, and it's something I'm proud of. So for that reason, here it is, Windowsill by me and Devlin. This is Zayn on BBC Radio 1. Unfortunately, I have to leave now, but I hope you've enjoyed all the music that we've been playing. These songs are very near and dear to my heart. I hope they brought some memories back for you. And to close it off, we are gonna seal the deal with Eyes Closed by myself and Jisoo. I actually had cut this record a while ago. It was meant to be a different feature originally, and then that feature never came about, and the song was kind of just there, and I forgot about it, to be honest with you. And then Jisoo reached out and said she wanted to do a collaboration, and when they were picking the songs through, one of the songs that I'd already cut, that was the song that she liked. So she did her vocals, and then I went in and recut my vocals again, you know, to match the vibe of her voice a bit more, and that's how it came about. She's obviously killing it at the minute, Blackpink all over the place. My daughter's a massive fan. So when she asked to do the feature, I was like, yeah, like my daughter's gonna think I'm cool again. So I'll definitely do that. And also, yeah, just to be a part of it, you know, I'm not that old yet. I'm not out the game yet. So I was like, yeah, I'd like to come back in here and do some pop music. You know, I've wavered a little bit from the pop sound myself. So to come back to it with, you know, the people who are basically owning that genre at the minute was an honor. So yeah, if I can say thanks to Jisoo, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. That's it from me, Radio 1. Big love. And if you ever get a chance to go visit Bradford, give it a deeks.
Time is standing still and I don't wanna leave your lips.